Coming up on the sixth season premiere of Latinas, we'll meet Chilean designer Maria Cornejo, talk politics in light of the upcoming presidential election, and so much more. Latinas starts now. Welcome to the sixth season premiere of Latinas. Wow, como ha pasado el tiempo, ¿no? We are the only Emmy-nominated show that's all about nosotras, created by nosotras, and I'm Tina Beth Pina. It's Hispanic Heritage Month, and as you already know, we keep our cultura alive and well by celebrating our Latinidad all year long. And today, I'm standing in the middle of the High Bridge, originally the Aqueduct Bridge, and it's the only bridge in New York City, having originally opened as part of the Croton Aqueduct in 1848 and reopened as a pedestrian walkway in 2015 after being closed for over 45 years. So why am I here? Well, it's because it connects Manhattan to the Bronx, which happens to be the most Latino borough in New York City, where more than 50% of its population son como yo. There also happens to be a large concentration of Spanish-speaking asylum seekers here as well. And as research has shown, 70% of students in the Bronx, unfortunately, do not read proficiently in English or Spanish. So correspondent Elena Romero visited one school in the Bronx to see how it and one special Latina are leveling the literacy playing field.
Hay mucha variedad de libros que puedes encontrar, ficción, no ficción, con fotos, sin fotos, de diferentes culturas, y eso inspira mucho.
Meet fifth grader Nashla Lorenzo de los Santos, who migrated to New York from the Dominican Republic last year. She's just one of many Latino students benefiting from the Start Lighthouse Literacy Hub, housed inside PSMS 5 in the Port Morris section of the Bronx.
La clase de libros que yo he cogido aquí ha sido como libros de historieta, cómics, y yo alguna vez he cogido unos libros en inglés que yo he leído y me han ayudado mucho a crecer más en mi nivel de inglés.
Here at Start Lighthouse, Latino students get to see themselves through the multicultural books they read.
Something that I can relate to is the title, The Bronx is My Home. Something else that I can relate to is that he loves to play sports and stuff. I can relate to that because I like to play baseball, basketball, a lot of different type of sports.
65% of PS5's school population are Spanish-speaking, with a high concentration of asylum seekers from Latin American countries. This Start Lighthouse Hub, which advances childhood literacy through a social lens, has become a welcoming space for both students and parents.
This year, I helped facilitate an asylum seekers info session for the parents because we have a lot of new arrivals here in the school. Thinking about the needs of not just the students but the community and bringing those resources to them. It's not just like a literacy hub, it's like a resource center for them, you know?
Auda Valdez teaches literacy in grades pre-K through 6. She nurtures books and reading intentionally, teaching in both English and Spanish simultaneously.
Having access to all these different perspectives for the students is what's different and what is so appealing to the students. I teach them in English and Spanish, primarily in Spanish, right? Because I want them to feel seen and heard and comfortable in their language, to be able to speak in the language, their native language.
In just 2 years, Start Lighthouse has delivered over 500 hours of programming to schools and families, distributed over 21,000 brand new multicultural and culturally responsive books, and impacted over 5,000 students in the Bronx.
Our students come in and do book shopping 3 times a year. And having a child where you say you have summer reading but they don't have the access to having a book at hand. This has now provided that opportunity. Every child goes home, fill in their library year after year.
I would like for this place to have more books.
What books would you like to see?
I would like to see books of heroes, fiction, and nonfiction.
The goal is just for them to see themselves, to feel seen and heard in this space.
For Latinas, I'm Elena Romero.
With Fashion Week behind us, now's a great time to meet Chilean-born, New York-based designer Maria Cornejo. She is a force in fashion who for the past 25 years has championed independence and sustainability with her creations. She was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award from the CFDA, and that's why Maria Cornejo is today's Inspiración Latina.
When I moved to New York and in 96 and I had my son in 97, I opened the store in 98. It was supposed to be a creative space. I did not want to be in the fashion business per se. I wanted to have a creative space where I would make things and my husband would invite other artists to collaborate. And having children and knowing what we're doing for the planet, it just made me really aware of what we leave behind, you know, our responsibility to leave the world hopefully in a better place. And after traveling around the world and seeing what a lot of waste there was, people were really wasteful. This oversample and oversample. So I would just buy the fabric that I found and I would make a certain amount of pieces. And in the back of the store, I had 3 sewers and everything was made there. You know, the reason I opened the store was a way to be home every night to see my kids. And coming from my background and being a political refugee, also in my brain was like, we're not saving lives, but we're making beautiful things to make people's lives better. Well, I left Chile when I was 11 with my parents as political refugees after our 9/11 in Chile because of the Americans. So we ended up in England. It was a hard transition because my mother died 2 years after we arrived in England. And from having a happy family and a big extended family to being on our own and no mother it's tough, you know. It's the mothers, especially in Latin families, are the backbones, you know, the matrix. So it was tough, and I couldn't speak a word of English. So when I finished college, I decided to do graphics for a year, and then I decided to do fashion. My college collection was bought by Joseph and Whistles, and I was super young, and then we joined forces and we did one label together for about 4 years. But ignorance was bliss. The way I design, a lot of the clothes are meant to be really comfortable because I want to feel like a better version of myself, but it doesn't matter what size I am, because a lot of fashion makes you feel like you're not good enough. I think the way I treat people is very Latin. My friend said to me, I'm not diva enough, I'm quite humble or quiet, introverted. Also the colors, also the way of cutting. You know, I like a lot of ponchos. I was doing ponchos before Gabriela Hearst. Do you know what I mean? Also, Chilean Indians wear all black and silver jewelry, the Mapuche. You know, their way of cutting is very Latin.
It is my greatest pleasure to present the Jeffrey Bean Lifetime Achievement Award to Maria Cornejo.
Getting the Jeffrey Bean Lifetime Achievement Award was a real surprise. I got a phone call from Stephen Kolb on June 28th. And it was actually quite touching because to receive this award, that was actually the day that I had originally opened the store. So it was like weird juju that he called me on that day, magical maybe. But you know, they were very clear. He said, you know, it's never been given to a female independent designer. To be honest, I don't get impressed with things like that. It doesn't change my sense of self because I know who I am. And I hope I lead by example. And if Latin kids see me, an immigrant, a refugee that ended up doing okay, getting an award, then that gives them the opening to think, oh, it can be possible.
In the last decade, there's been a big conversation centered around women leading the country. But now, it's about women of color as leaders. And although the path to get there is not always smooth, it doesn't mean it's not possible. Three Latinas are about to talk about their journeys into politics in today's Caliente Caliente.
I'm the mayor of New Rochelle. We're a city of about 80,000 people, a mile or two outside of the Bronx. First woman, first person of color, Puerto Rican and Dominican background. I'm a lawyer by training. I worked at Columbia Law School as an associate dean up until December of this past year. So my journey is not one where I was like, I want to be the mayor and I was really happy at Columbia. I said no for like 2 years. And then ultimately a woman said to me, well, then if you're going to stay on the council, do you want to lead the council or do you want to train the next leader? Like, how do you want to use your time if people really are asking you to step up? And then I figured, you know what? I'm not looking to step down, so I might as well just step up. And so I kind of threw my hat in the ring and was successful.
Wow. What an inspirational
I know.
story.
Kind of incredible.
And isn't there a stat that you need to ask a woman at least 7 times?
It's 7 times.
7
For
times.
sure,
Before she
a
says
dozen
yes.
for each role, probably.
Ask a man, and it's just like, yeah, sure, I can, or not. Don't even ask, and it's just like, I can be the mayor.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm inspired by your thoughtfulness and your patience and your intentionality behind saying, I need to step up because no one else is. So
Thank you.
Inspired by that.
Speaking of inspiration, Deputy Borough President.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think anyone wakes up and decides that they want to become Deputy Borough President of any borough. Or if I'm quite honest, about 6 years ago, I didn't know this position even existed, right? And I think that speaks to the disconnect between the Latino community and local government. I saw, really examined the body of the city council and realized the lack of women representation back in 2018, 2017. At the time, I believe it was only 12 women, 12
That's right.
out of a body of 52 members. I feel like there was something wrong with that. It didn't sit well at my core. And so I started to just volunteer for different campaigns. I volunteered for a non-for-profit organization that seek to empower women running for office and supporting them. And we were able, with different organizations, really turn that minority in the city council to the majority. But at that same time, I was also supporting a borough president that was seeking to become the first female borough president. And in our journey together, she asked me to be her deputy borough president. So right now, we're the only office represented by 2 women.
It's a great segue into the third way that you can get civically engaged, right? So we talked about being elected and the work that goes behind that and the historic moment that this is. We talked about being appointed and what that means, right, for every Latina in New York City. Right. For me, it was so important, the idea of access and knowing how government worked and why it worked the way they did and who the people were that were involved in this became kind of a focal point for me. That kind of combination of personal life experience in a space where you're kind of left out of the process, and then this newfound understanding of how government works. I think those 2 things came together for me to really think about, how do I take all of this knowledge now and like give it back?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it was, I can do government relations.
Right.
Right. And I can do that.
Yeah.
Really kind of aligned with my values.
Yeah.
I think we're growing in spaces where we weren't often welcome. And so we're seeing a huge wave in local politics, the city council, I think, being a great example. Madam Mayor, you being a great example of being the first person of color and the first Latina in your position in a county that's growing. The Latino population is growing. And so with it, so is the demographics of local politics.
And so for me, being in this role, I don't always see other people that look like me in these rooms. I don't have the sort of network that they do. I don't have some of the cultural experiences, but it doesn't make me less important to the process. And in fact, I know the questions I bring to the table that help bring our community to the table. And I'm looking for the quiet ones. I'm making sure that the girls and women of color feel, that I'm talking to them, normalizing being nervous, normalizing imposter syndrome, but that you can still do the job.
I want to thank both of you for doing the work that you do. I know that there was some stuff that we all went through, right, to get here and continue to face. And so it means a lot to me, even not a newbie, not a kid, to be able to see how incredible it is to have you as mayor, how incredible it is to see you in all of your glowing glory as deputy borough president. Like, it's a big deal, and it still matters to me as much as it did when I was younger to see this.
We'll have more from these mujeres next month when they discuss the importance of galvanizing and speaking to Latino voters on the ground. Stay tuned. Are you the type that thinks you can do anything you put your mind to, or are you afraid to even try? Claudia Espinosa thinks we are capable of everything, and when she saw a gap in mentorship for young Latinas, she didn't just fill it, she transformed it with love. Isabel Ortiz has that story.
Where I grew up, it was a little bit different in terms of there was no sexual education for sure. There was no mental health. I went to a private Catholic school back in Colombia. And so there was a lot of taboos left and right with my upbringing.
From her roots in Colombia to New York City, Claudia Espinosa turned her own experiences into action. In 2012, she launched Latinas on the Verge of Excellence, a mentoring program that equips young women with essential resources, guidance, and education.
Along your journey, you realized that there was a lot of issues that young Latinas in NYC were facing. How does this program really confront those issues and help young Latinas?
When I started it 12 years ago, it was with the intention of supporting the main challenge that I saw the girls suffering back then related to mental health. They needed resources, guidance, education, support with, and that's how the curriculum for the program was created. And so 12 years later, we developed curriculum related to mental health and reproductive health. And then in addition to that, we continue to teach college access and career readiness.
For Love Mentoring, strong mentor-mentee relationships are key. What sets it apart? A close age gap that fosters a genuine connection.
A mentor may be 19, 20 years old, and our girls are 15, 16. So it's that proximity in age that makes the girls feel, okay, you get me. Because one thing from the girls that you may get from them is that you don't understand me. You don't know what I'm going through.
Mentor Kiana Caldron reveals the transformative power of mentor-mentee relationships, highlighting how genuine understanding and connection can ignite trust and change.
We don't want to come into the classroom being just another authoritative figure. We want to come in as someone that these girls can relate to and feel like they can see themselves in us, you know? Initially, we walk into the classroom, they don't know who we are. They don't know if they can trust us. So they're very shy at first. But then as the weeks go by, they start to open up. They start to really trust us and confide in us.
I felt inspired from my mentors to follow my dreams and achieve my goals, because from then I learned that everything is possible, and that's when I decided to go to college and study business.
Love grows stronger by teaming up with community organizations, universities, public schools, and corporations, which has been crucial to supporting the well-being of young women in the program.
We partner with other organizations to enhance our education. So let's say we do reproductive health in our programming, but we also work with Planned Parenthood to enhance that sexual education. Similar with the mental health, with college, we work with many different universities to provide education related to scholarships or financial aid or how to complete the college application, things that most of the young girls in our programs are not familiar with.
So when you look back in a couple years from where you are now, what legacy do you hope a Love Mentoring program leaves in the communities it has served?
I see it as a movement of empowerment and the way I see it is, the girls that have gone through the program are successful now, and it's just like go back and uplift the next one, because that's how we continue to grow and succeed. Success for me, it's for you, for me, for anyone, it's all different. My goal is for if one of our girls say, this is what my dream is, that she's able to attain that dream, whatever that may be for her.
For Latinas, I'm Isabel Ortiz.
Did you guys know that there's a group dedicated to the Latino community that's all about exploring the outdoors? I had no idea, but Slice of New York's Mike Gilliam did, and he sat down with Melody Mendez to learn more.
Melody, what is Latino Outdoors?
Yes, happy to share a little bit. We are a community-led organization that focuses on bridging the outdoor equity gap, and we like to do that by providing free programming to New York City residents to go outside. And also, Latino Outdoors, we're a national organization, so it's not just in New York City, but across the coast. And so, you know, we have amazing opportunities to enjoy maybe rooftop cinema moments, or go for a hike, or maybe go for a picnic in community, and really just develop relationships and reclaim that outdoor narrative to one that is more inclusive and more welcoming of the Latina community within our city.
Do people who want to take part, though, have to pay for that, or how is it set up?
That's a great question. We are absolutely free. All of our programming is free. For those locations that are a little bit farther, we also provide free transportation to really bridge that barrier as well.
Wow, how do you do it?
You know, we're lucky enough to, again, be community-led and inspired, so we have a lot of really great partnerships and volunteer leaders within our organization. But also, you know, we are grant-based, and we have really great funding opportunities that allow us to, you know, provide those accessible opportunities for our community members.
Okay, describe for me one of the activities that you particularly like.
Oh, my favorite, you know, this year it's all about 100 years, the centennial anniversary of our New York State parks and historic sites. So that's been a really exciting partnership for us. We have been walking, hiking, and exploring different New York State parks in and around the city. And that has been amazing to kind of just learn the geographic and geological history of our parks, but also the cultural significance of many of these parks and their namesakes as well.
Thanks, Mike. To learn more about Latino Outdoors or other New York City organizations, tune in to Slice of New York, only on CUNY TV. How many times have you bought an avocado to enjoy with your arroz y habichuelas, only to find out when you cut it open, it's black inside, and it's just gross? We've got Rose here to give us some tips on how to buy the perfect avocado each and every time.
The first thing you want to do when you buy an avocado is that you buy them with the stem attached. Make sure that you don't buy one like this without the stem. Now, the reason why you want to buy avocado with the stem is because it will stay ripened. You won't get no black spots in it when you cut it and ready to be opened. But the one that has the stem detached, what happens is air gets through here, through the center, and it makes the whole top catch air, and it will be black when you cut it open. The next thing you want to see in an avocado is that when you put pressure on it to the touch, it's a little bit soft, but not too soft because then it will be no good. If your finger goes in about half an inch, that means it's past its day. It's no good for you. Another tip that I want to give you is that you can insert a toothpick right where the stem used to be, and if it comes out clean, that avocado is ready to go, just like a cake. So I want to show you the 3 stages of the avocado. Very green, it's turning to be ripened, and when it's ripened up, it will look like this. Now, the lighter green avocado with the stem attached, you can store it away in your pantry, microwave or brown bag, and it's ready to go in 3 to 4 days. The middle avocado is ready to go. You could have it today or tomorrow. This one is getting to the last stage, so you could actually have your guacamole with this one. So, the next time you buy an avocado, one last tip. When you cut it open, squeeze the lime juice right on top of it so it don't turn black on you. And if you want any more tips, just ask Rose.
Those were some very helpful tips. Thanks, Rose. And that's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, Check out our website at tv.cuny.edu and follow our social media profiles. Plus, we now even have a CUNY TV app where you can watch us anytime, anywhere on the go, and you know how we love sharing our stories with you. So definitely check it out and download it. And please make sure you tune in next month where you'll meet Latina powerhouse Daisy Alger Dominguez, learn how to do your own Katrina makeup just in time for Dia de Muertos, also known as Day of the Dead, and so much more. ¡Uepa! Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye.